people that basically are wanting a pat on the back, wanting to look pious, and wanting the people to look at them and say how wonderful they are. But Jesus was trying to reach them the same as he was trying to reach the publican. The same as he was trying to reach Matthew. The same as he was trying to reach Zacchaeus. The same as he was trying to reach Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. The same as he was trying to reach Peter's mother-in-law, who fell sick, so he healed her. Amen? The purpose of having these dinners was to touch lives. And just because they were a Pharisee didn't mean that he wasn't trying to touch their life. And he did touch a few. One by the name of Nicodemus, who came to him by night.
Yes.
He came by night because he feared what the fellow Pharisees would say.
And do.
There was another man who was a very wealthy man that he touched his life by the name of Joseph of Arimathea. This man he loaned Jesus his tomb for a few days. He didn't give it to him because he knew Jesus, he didn't know at the time, but Jesus wasn't only going to use it but for a few days. I often wondered if Joseph was later buried in that tomb. Amen. Remember when Elisha, he had been promised double the amount of miracles that Elijah had. And he was one short. And he died. He died with one short, BB. And then he was thrown in a tomb with two dead bodies, and they rose up and walked out. So he accomplished exactly double the amount of miracles that Elijah had. He had the double portion. Think about it. And a body that's already, life has been taken from it, but it was so anointed that when it landed on the body of two other dead men, they rose up. That's pretty good. I'd like to be able to raise them even while I'm still alive, but that'd be even great. Man, they go to lay my 95-year-old used up body, take it into the funeral home, and the two bodies sitting in the morgue next to me gets up and walks out. That'd be okay, wouldn't it?
Scared of the courier, the guy, Undertaker.
What's that?
I said it's scared of Undertaker.
Oh yeah, and it would probably disappoint him because there's about $15,000-$20,000 you just lost. But then again, those that got up, they say, well, yeah, I might live another 20 years, but at least my funeral's paid for. Amen.
Yeah, that's good.
But see, Jesus was being watched closely, and he came into this Pharisee's house, and they were keeping an eye on him. They wanted to see if he would violate the Sabbath, because it was Sabbath day. They were having a meal. And while he was here, at this meal on the Sabbath, he healed a man of dropsy. I mean, the nerve of him to do that on the Sabbath. The nerve of Jesus to heal somebody breaking the law of God. Wait a minute, isn't this his law?
Yeah.
Can you really break your own law? I guess you can. That's why God never did. And that's why Jesus was trying to explain to him that Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And so he healed him, and then he rebuked the Pharisees for their hypocritical behavior. We're talking about the few verses before what we just read. Jesus then told the Pharisees that were in attendance in 14:10. Let's see what it says. He says, "And when thou art bidden to sit down in the lowest seat." What's he saying? He goes on, sit down to the lowest room. He goes on to explain to him, don't allow yourself to be, don't try to elevate yourself. He said, if you're invited to a dinner, sit at the lowest seat. And if they invite you to a seat of more prestige, then go. But if they don't sit up there and then they have to have you move for someone more important than you.
Right.
What he's trying to say, don't think yourself to be so important. You ever meet someone that thinks they're more important than anyone?
Yeah.
My daughter a few years ago was talking with her friend and her friend's sister-in-law. And I forget the conversation, but I think it was, my daughter said that she heard that they were going to switch the drinking age back to 21 because there's so many young people, being irresponsible, drinking, drinking and driving and drinking and just being foolish. And this young lady looked at her and said, "Oh no, that can't be true because someone would have told me about that." I'm so important. They would have had to pass that by me before. We laugh, but there are people like that thinks that they are so important.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I mean, we want to all be important. We want to all be influential in our society, but face it, most of us aren't.
Right.
We really aren't. We say, oh, we record our messages and we're on Facebook. That's going all around the world. Yeah, but only 3 people looked at it. And I looked at it twice.
You tell it.
And I'm just being real, amen?
Amen.
We only influence those that God allows us to influence. But that's a key that we need to stop and think. We are influencing someone. We may not be around the world, we may not be able to touch multitudes, but we are influencing someone. Now, are we going to influence them with good things or bad things, as I said earlier? Amen? I shared a few weeks ago about how Dennis and Wally and my granddaughter, we all stopped out. We went to a Ruby Tuesday up in Broadview Heights, in Seven Hills. And an African lady come to, everybody else was just kind of rude. It was crowded. I think it was Mother's Day. It was crowded and everybody, it just seemed like everybody was irritable. They didn't want to bother with us because we needed a table. And they were just like kind of the one lady, she was a young girl. She didn't really say anything, but you could tell she just was irritated with us standing there, And we finally sat down, and this young American lady came over to us, and we started teasing her. Immediately, we just started teasing her, laughing, talking to her. She looked at us, she says, "Man, you guys made my day." She said, "I was having a rough day, but you made my day." And she came out, she was like extra attentive, man. I mean, we asked for something, she was right on it. She brought our food to us, And so we went to pay for it, and I didn't have the whole amount, and Wally says, "Look, man, I'll pay for it. I'll just put it on my credit card." I said, "Wally, you don't need to do it." No, I want to. I want to be a blessing to you guys." I said, "Okay, then I'll leave the tip." And so I said, "I'm going to leave her a $20 tip." That's not a whole lot of money, but that's a nice tip.
Yeah.
Amen? Wally said, "That's a little high." I said, "But listen, Wally." I says, "She said we made her day. Let's make her day even better."
Yes.
So she walked over and I handed it to her, and she looked at it and her face lit up and she said, "Oh, thank you so much." She might have been, they might have been giving her $1 or $2, or sometimes people run you and run you and run you and leave you nothing. My daughter used to be a waitress down at the billiards place downtown where they played pool, but they also had served food. And my daughter there was about 8 or 10 people in this party, and they order food, but they didn't. All they want is water because water is free. And so every 5 minutes they want more water. And Tanya's running back and back and back and back, and she gave up 2 other tables to take care of them so she can concentrate on them. And when the lady paid the one woman paid the whole bill, and she left Tanya a penny.
Ah.
What? She lost the tips from 2 other tables that probably would have gave her